Today I'm here with Pat, the secretary from Breeze Inc. How are you going, Pat?
Good, thank you.
That's good. And he's brought us his Nissan Leaf to check out today. Pat, can you please tell me where you purchased your Leaf from and how much did it cost you?
Yes, we bought it from a 93-year-old gentleman in Geelong who had lost his licence or had his licence taken off him, and we paid $20,000, which was a bit over the odds. We may have paid perhaps $1,000 or two more than the market value, but it was a beautiful example, really well cared for, so we feel like we got a good bargain.
I'd probably assume that 93-year-old wouldn't be taking it too far, maybe down to the shops and back,
No,
or
absolutely.
yeah, I'd say you wouldn't be going across Australia with that one.
They've never left town as far as we can see.
Oh, well, what an excellent bargain then. And can you tell me what the range is on the Nissan Leaf?
It's about 100 k's, so that reflects the size of the battery. This still remains the smallest battery in the Australian marketplace at 24 kilowatts, which has its advantages in a way in that the car is not terribly weighty and the battery doesn't take long to charge. So,
How long would it take you to charge the battery on this one from woe to go?
well, here today it's only going to take about half an hour.
Yeah.
On the fast charger at home, it's about 3 or 4 hours overnight.
Okay, and do you just plug that into the wall, or have you got a charger installed?
Yeah, just a normal plug.
Oh, great! That's fantastic. 4 hours is really quick. And what year model is this car?
This is a 2012 model, bought new in 2015. This is the highest volume selling electric car in the world, and most of them that you see in Australia are 2012 models, but bought over a series of years. So they were constructed then and then sold for some years.
Okay, so they would have been sitting there for a little while before being driven. And you mentioned that you get about 100 kilometres out of the car. So I'm guessing you probably haven't pushed its limits trying to get to Melbourne yet.
No, Geelong at about 89 k's or about 90 k's is about as far as we've gone. But that was really a nice trip. We went down to Lawn. There's fast charges, free charges in Geelong on the foreshore, and there's one in Lawn near the tourist information there. And you get a free charge, so it's free travel.
Oh, great. And can you tell me, are these ones that we're using here, we're actually at the Big W here in Ballarat City Centre, are these ones here free or are you paying for this?
Here typically costs about $2.50.
Okay.
It's all from renewable energy, so this company has a contract for renewable energy, so it's clean energy in that sense. It's one of the leaders in the country, this particular company, ChargeBox.
And
They're global, they've developed this machine for global resale.
And they've got an online site that you can check out where all their charges are.
Yeah,
That's
they all
correct,
have
isn't it?
apps. So,
Yeah.
there's a ChargeBox, there's another one called Evie, and there's another one called ChargePoint, and I'm sure there's others too that I'm not aware of.
And so you say about $2 for 100 kilometres.
$2
Okay,
today, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think you get any form of combustion car that could get you that.
$2.50 is small change.
That's well, who even has change on them these days? And I purchased a car recently, and I would have loved to have bought a electric car. My price range only allowed me if I was going to get on a second-hand one, but I got a bit of range anxiety around only being able to. I was looking at Nissan Leafs around that 100-kilometre mark. Do you ever find that you feel a bit anxious about getting to the end of that 100 k's before you can charge?
You learn to manage it, but bear in mind this car has the smallest battery of any electric car in the Australian market, so you'd expect there to be a few issues. But my partner's using it for work at the moment, and she just manages it, so she makes sure she gets to work. She works in Castlemaine, so she starts her day with a drive, 55 k's. So she makes sure that she's got enough for her day's work. And then what's developing at the moment is, because she works in Castlemaine, they're about to put in a fast charger. So if she needs the car in the course of the day, she'll just walk in and grab a charge once that's in. So
Oh, great. And so is she charging it currently just out of a PowerPoint?
at home, yeah.
At home? Right. So, and you do you have any inclination to install a specific charger for the car to do it a bit quicker if
No,
at home?
there's no need. You just charge overnight when you don't need the car.
With servicing, so you've only had it about 12 months. Have you had it serviced yet, or have you looked into getting it serviced?
No, so servicing is really inconsequential. It's just a check of the fluids and the tyre pressures, so we haven't bothered. The previous people had it serviced regularly, but it's not really that bigger part of your life with an electric car because there's so few moving parts.
It's only about 6 or so moving parts, isn't it? Is that someone said
the motor itself.
Yeah. And if you were to, say for instance, if you were to, could you get that done in Ballarat? Could you have it serviced here?
Dealership, at the Nissan dealership you would. There may be a lack of knowledge there. They may not have handled many of them, but they'd certainly be obliged to make sure they were across what they needed to do.
Great. And can you tell me what is the best thing about having an electric car?
Look, it's just such a completely different experience. The first thing, of course, is that it's clean energy. So it means that you can head out, because we pay for clean renewable energy at home. We pay a premium to have renewable energy at home. So we're not contributing to this massive problem that's unfolding with climate change. But then the experience itself is so much cleaner and smoother and quieter and just faster. They're much faster than your average petrol car. So it's just all round fun.
Yeah, and there's no gears to change either, so they're all automatic.
That's right.
Yeah. And last question, and I don't want to end on a bad one, but is there anything negative about having an electric car?
The first negative is that you want another one, and they're expensive. So you get one, you think these are fantastic, but the price is obviously the detriment otherwise, the problem otherwise at the moment.
Yeah, which is the problem I found too. But hopefully, with more coming onto the market, we'll start to see a decrease in prices.
Yeah, the new MG SUV, 42,000 is now the market entry point for
great.
EV,
Yeah, fantastic. Well, Pat, thank you so much for having a chat with us today. And I'd like to see you driving around in your Nissan Leaf around Ballarat. Here I am with Sam Blanchard from Buninyong Boomerang Bags, and she's been kind enough to take me for a spin in her Hyundai Kona. Hi Sam, how are you?
Good.
First thing I've noticed in the Kona is how quiet an electric car is. I suppose that's probably everyone's feedback. How do you feel about the quietness of the car?
Oh, I love it. I like not having all the noise around it.
Yeah, you don't realise when you start the car that's the combustion going, because when Sam just started it, and we missed it here on the video, but I wasn't even sure the car was on.
Yes.
So Sam, we've got a Hyundai Kona here. Can you tell me where and when did you purchase this Kona?
So I purchased this Kona from Hyundai down in Caroline Springs, so just on the outskirts of Melbourne. I actually purchased it about a year ago now, which unfortunate timing given everything that last year was.
You didn't get much chance to drive it.
No, not much chance at all really to drive it around.
And so you bought it in Caroline Springs, so Ballarat Hyundai don't sell the electric cars yet, is that true?
No, yeah, so unfortunately the Ballarat guys don't sell these yet. They are something that's coming, but we're not sure when.
Okay, well I suppose Caroline Springs isn't too far to go for a car, about an hour, so.
About an hour, yeah.
Yeah, and do you mind if I ask how much you paid for the Hyundai Kona to get on the road?
Yeah, so on the road it was $65,000. This was a demo model,
Okay.
So it was a little bit cheaper.
Okay, so do you happen to know what the regular price is?
I think they're about 70, and this was for one of it's not the base model, it's got one of the upper
Models, okay.
It's got all the extra features in it.
Oh, wonderful. And can you tell me what your range in this car is?
So obviously it depends on what kind of driving you're doing, but roughly does about 450 kilometres with mixed driving between highway and city.
Oh, great. And have you tested it to go that far yet, or what's the furthest you've gone without charging?
So I've done a trip to Melbourne, to Geelong, and then back to Ballarat without charging in between.
Oh, so that's over 200 kilometres, I'm guessing. Yeah.
So the whole day didn't have to worry about any of that.
And speaking of charging, you just charge it at home on the wall socket?
Yeah, it's just easy. Park it in the garage and plug it into the wall socket like you would your mobile phone.
Yeah, and do you work in Ballarat or do you travel for work?
I work in Ballarat.
Okay, so no need to worry about it for working.
Yeah, not at all.
And what is the best thing about having an electric vehicle?
Not having to worry about going to a petrol station, to be honest. Don't have to go, I've got to duck past a petrol station on my way to a thing.
Get out of the car and all that.
Already charged because it was on overnight, kind of thing.
I would love that. I think I've got 2 small children, and that, you get stuck. You're like, I can't leave the kids in the car, but I can't take them into the petrol station. And I look forward to that. Hopefully one day I'll have an electric car soon. And is there anything bad about having an electric car, or is there a worse thing that you miss about having a combustion petrol car?
So travelling, I found if you go long distance, it's not quite as obvious to find the charging points as it is to find a petrol station.
Yep.
You've got to have like an app on your phone to kind of locate them a little bit easier than just one will pop up in front of you kind of thing.
And what's your experience with using the public chargers?
They've been good. There is a little bit of an issue that not all the plugs are the same. So you get the Teslas and the Konas and all that, they all have different plugs.
Yeah.
So you've got to find which charging station has the same plug type as the vehicle.
Yeah.
Hopefully something will be done to make them all the same.
Get like an adapter or something.
Yeah.
Is that what they're talking about? Some sort of...
I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, that would be awesome if there was an adapter or something.
Yeah, so to make it universal. And I was speaking to Pat Hockey earlier on, and he keeps just one in his car, so in case he ever gets stuck, he's got something. Do you just throw yours in the back of the boot for when you're ready to charge
so
up?
my charging cable's in the boot at all times in case I ever need it.
Great, thanks Sam. Okay, Sam's just going to show us how she charges up the car. So you've got your charger there in your hand.
So my charger in the hand, it's got a handy little bag and storage location in the boot, so you can take it with you wherever. You just come around, similar to how you would when you're refueling a petrol vehicle. Open up your fuel door. It's on the front here for this one. You just take a larger plug it into this spot here, and then take your wall socket plug. You have to have the cable all tangled up, and then you plug it into your wall socket and turn it on, kind of like how you'd plug your mobile phone in, really.
Easy breezy. And how long does it take you to go from 0 to full?
So from 0 to full, it takes about a whole day. It's roughly 24 hours.
Okay.
So if you know you've got a bigger trip coming up, it's probably best to plan ahead for it, like most people would probably anyway.
Yeah. And do you know roughly, so if it takes 24 hours, do you know roughly how much it costs you to charge up the car?
Yeah, so obviously it depends on the particular rates you've got with your energy provider, but approximately for a full tank with this one, it cost me just under $15.
And I see that you've got a Hyundai i30 here. Do you know, in comparison, how much was that one costing you to fill up in a full tank of petrol?
For a full tank for this one, it was usually between $50 and $60.
Okay, and I'm guessing that probably does a little bit over, 500 Ks or so?
Yeah, about 500 to 550 on an average tank.
So quite a significant saving there, which is...
Yeah, big difference, but not too much difference in mileage, which is great.
Yeah, so over the course of a year, that would definitely... Here we are with Sandra and Peter, Ballarat residents and proud owners of a Tesla Model 3. How are you today?
Yeah, good, thanks.
That's good. Now, can you tell me a little bit about the Tesla Model 3? Can you tell me where did you purchase it from, and if you don't mind, how much it cost you to purchase?
Yeah, sure. So there's only one place you can purchase them in Victoria, and that's from Chadstone. So about October 2020, we went down to Chadstone and test drove one down there, and pretty much decided straight away that we were going to go for it, and picked it up in December. So this is the base model. This is the standard range plus, as they call it, and it's well, at the time we bought it was 73 on the road, and I don't think it's too much difference. It might be a couple of grand dearer. The price does tend to fluctuate with the exchange rate, the US dollar exchange rate, but I think it's around about the 73 still.
Give or take, yeah.
Give or take.
And what's the range on the Model 3?
Well, I'm not sure. I think they advertise the range probably over. I think it's over 400 in the manual, but realistically, we get about 350 in real time.
And you recently took it on a long holiday. Can you tell me a little bit about your holiday? Where did you go? Where did you end up? And how'd you go with charging?
So in July last year, we had some plans to go overseas that was scuttled by COVID, and so we decided to go for a drive up up into New South Wales and just see how far we could get. We left at the beginning of July and went up into New South Wales just before borders closed, and we spent about 2 or 3 weeks in New South, and we could see that Queensland New South borders were getting towards getting shut down, and we then crossed up into Queensland and finished up in the Daintree.
Do you know off the top of your head how many kilometres that was from Ballarat up to the Daintree?
Sorry?
Do you know how many kilometres that was from...
No, about 2,500.
Yeah, right.
Maybe.
And how did you go with charging along the way? Did you have any troubles or...
No problems at all. Up that eastern seaboard, there's charges every 100 kilometres or so. So you just got to be mindful and plan a little bit. It's really up the eastern seaboard. It's not too much different to driving a petrol car.
Yeah.
We really only used chargers a lot on our big mile days or big K days, and the rest of the time we would plug into a power point at a hotel. Or
yeah,
the
okay.
car would more or less charge again overnight, or any accommodation, caravan parks or whatever. We often just asked if they had a handy power point, and we became really, really good at spotting power points that hotels didn't even know they had.
Outdoor power points.
Yeah, and that's true. We'd stop at a hotel and a motel and we'd say, look, do you have any power points? And they'd say, well, we don't know. I'd say, well, actually, there's one just over there.
And did you have? They were happy for you to plug in.
That's actually a good point. We always made sure that we offered. Well, it's probably going to be $5. In reality, it's probably going to be $5 tops to jump on their power. But we always said, look, we're happy to give you $5 or $10 or whatever, more than what it would cost just to cover your costs. Not once did they say they would take that off us, and they were very pleased to let us plug in.
I suppose when you've only got a few electric cars coming to plug in, but maybe 10 years time from now, it might be something you can add.
They'll have to start introducing something, but they were all very, very supportive and very good. And pretty much if you roll in at 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, by the time the morning comes around, you're fully charged again, even on a normal power point.
Oh wow, that's great. Yeah.
But if you're charging up on the road at the superchargers, I don't know if you want to go into that now.
If you could tell us a little bit about the superchargers.
The superchargers are half hour. You can be pretty much empty. Half hour, you're full again.
Amazing.
In fact, you've actually got to be a little bit mindful of time. You go and have a coffee or something, and before you know it, the half hour's up, and you actually get a notification on your app just to ask you, to remind you to move the car, because there may well be other people waiting to use it, and there's actually a penalty if you leave it too long, which is fair enough too.
That's on the Tesla superchargers.
That's
And were you ever penalised for overstaying?
We got a smack once. When we first got it, we went over to Adelaide, and we actually didn't realise, and we were in Keith, which is pretty much just over halfway between here and Adelaide. Very small place.
Is there a charger in Keith?
Yeah, and the reason is it's on the Western Highway. It's strategically placed for people go. It's not because it's Keith, it's because it's strategically placed between here and Adelaide.
I thought Keith was just a petrol station.
Well, it is.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's a bit bigger than that. It's a couple of thousand people.
Yeah.
And so...
There's a supercharger in Horsham.
Ah, yeah.
So just on that, we supercharge Horsham, Keith, Adelaide.
And was it a monetary penalty when you got the slap on the wrist?
No.
It was a warning this first time.
And I think they might give a warning or two before
Yeah. With your holiday, particularly the one up to the Daintree, was there any negatives of having the electric car as opposed to having if you had done it in a combustion car or a petrol car?
I honestly can't think of one.
And we would never have done it in a combustion car, probably. Something about driving in the electric car, and this one is super comfortable, but there's no effort. It doesn't seem to expend any effort to move, and it feels like the trip is that way too, much more smooth.
Yeah.
You haven't got the same amount of noise. you only hear road noise. There's just something about travelling in an electric car. It's easy. You could use the part auto drive to give you a little bit of a break.
Yeah.
All you have to do is keep your hand on the wheel, but you can take it off long enough to have a drink, and the car will auto steer, and it will alter its speed according to what traffic is in front of you, etc. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it sounds
Pretty much-
phenomenal.
pretty much drives itself on the highway, if you can call it that.
Yeah.
It's not the full auto pilot setup that's available, which is another, give or take, 10 grand over here. Which
But
is,
possible to have here, is that? It's possible to get that in a
yes,
Tesla?
you can get it, but it's still limited because of the laws, the legislation over here. You can't use it fully.
Yeah.
But it's another step up from what we've got.
And speaking of comfort, would you mind just showing me the interior of the Tesla? I'd be interested to see. So we're having a look in here. I had a look in here earlier on before we were filming, and I was just so shocked to see how simple and streamlined the electric Tesla is. In the sense it's literally just the computer screen. And then, Peter, you were telling me to use it, there's no key.
No, it's all on your phone. It's all on the app. So I just press into the app. Go back. So I was in controls there. So there's the various there's the menu there. So if you want to charge it, for example, that's how many kilometres I've got in at the moment.
So you can do that sitting on your couch and
I
say,
can do
I'm
this-
going to go for a trip. Do I need to
Absolutely,
plug
you
her
can-
in or not?
Yeah, absolutely.
Amazing.
And then there's you can open your charge port and
Oh, that just popped over here. Let's have a look. There we are. And pop. There we are. How is this?
and
And to drive it, you were saying so you obviously don't put the key in because it's the app,
no,
and then
so
it will go back to that. That's
it automatically recognises the phone. You just need your phone with you. You sit in, and you push it down for drive. You need your foot on the brake for safety reasons, obviously, and away you go.
And is that
So
also
that-
the brake as well, or do you use the pedals for the brake?
So use the pedals for the brake, although it is a regenerative braking system. So what I find when I do drive is I almost never use the brakes because of it is slightly different to get used to, in as much that if you take your foot off the accelerator, then it will slow quite quickly. So what you tend to have to do is lift your foot slightly rather than take your foot right off the accelerator. So but within a few kilometres of driving, you're right. You're away.
Wonderful. And lastly, if I could just get you to pop that hood for me.
Sure. Can I just point out the
Oh,
key?
absolutely.
So there is a backup.
Sorry.
That's all right. There's a Tesla key, which is a credit card size. You can keep that in your wallet.
So that functions the same as the newer
So
keys
it
now don't
does.
have a key that you insert. It's just the
So
Like the
and
dongle
you just touch
thing.
there to open or close, and all you need to do when you drive is you put it there, just by the drink holder there, and it acts as the same way as your phone. So if your phone goes flat or whatever, you've still got your key as a backup.
fantastic. Fantastic.
So
And just have a quick look under the hood.
under the hood, so we can just open that on the app
Or in the car.
or in the car. Yeah.
And so, what about servicing? Have you?
Well, there is no servicing. They'll let you know if there's an issue with it. And this is really weird to people that have been driving like us, that have been driving ice cars all our lives. They don't require servicing. They say there's like less than 20 moving parts on the engine. I'm not technical at all, but all I know is that it hasn't needed servicing yet, and they assure me that it doesn't need servicing. If there is an issue, they'll ring you, or if you find there's a problem, you ring them.
We have been back to get a new windscreen. That's the only time we've
It's the only
taken
time we've
it
been back. We've done just under 30,000 kilometres now, so there's my...
This is the engine, as such.
So, just my
Long
my leads.
extension cord.
You need this is the Type 2 lead that you'll need at some charge points on your journey.
So that's an extra purchase to get the Type 2.
That's just a faster charger, is it?
Yeah,
Well, it's one you'll need if you're not using a Tesla supercharger. If you're using the ChargeFox network, you'll need this Type 2 charger.
and you plug into the charge box. For example, for the locals amongst us at Buninyong, you charge one end into the charge box, and the other end just goes into the back of the car here, of course, as we saw earlier. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for showing me around your Tesla Model 3 today. It's been really fantastic to have a look at this car. I'm quite jealous, but and yeah, thank you so much.